guys, this is Mark. And in this video, I want to talk about when the autistic spouse retires and how to navigate the unexpected marriage shift. So we're going to look at how schedule disruption, identity loss, and increased togetherness reshapes a neurodiverse marriage. You know, retirement is romanticized as a long-awaited season of rest, hobbies, travel, and connection. But in a neurodiverse marriage, especially when the husband is autistic and the wife is neurotypical, retirement is rarely just a lifestyle transition. It's a neurological shock to the marital system. Why? The autistic spouse is often deeply regulated by structure, predictability, daily purpose, and personal space. And work provides all four simultaneously. But when retirement arrives, the marriage enters a new developmental phase, one for which most couples are not emotionally prepared for. In many neurotypical pairs, retirement enhances companionship. But in a neurodiverse marriage, it increases friction, anxiety, and confusion on both sides. Not because love is lacking, but because the rhythms that held the relationship in balance suddenly evaporate. Why does retirement hit harder on the autistic spouse? Well, autistic adults tend to rely heavily on routine as a stabilizing mechanism. Work offers a dependable daily schedule, a clear chain of expectations, sensory and cognitive structure, a socially acceptable buffer for alone time, and a predictable division between work self and home self. Not to mention there are built-in transitions, start times, end times, and recovery windows. But when retirement removes these anchors, the autistic spouse can experience a multitude of negatives. He can experience a loss of routine, which feels like disorientation, irritability, and anxiety. He can experience a loss of identity. He may ask himself, who am I now if I'm not working? He may experience a loss of social predictability, and that feels like withdrawal or shutdown. There's a loss of time boundaries, and that can feel like intruding upon a home. There's a loss of purpose. That feels like depression and aimlessness. There's loss of autonomy, and that feels like resentment and control behaviors. Meanwhile, the neurotypical wife may anticipate togetherness, travel, shared hobbies, and meaningful conversation, but instead, she encounters withdrawal, rigidity, irritability, or her ASD husband's hyperfixation on something outside of the marriage. So now the question becomes, what happens when one spouse expects closeness and the other requires space to regulate? So let's talk about the surprising marital tension created by too much togetherness. For decades, work naturally limited interaction. Retirement removes that buffer. Now the couple faces more hours together than ever before, and the neurotypical spouse may feel ignored while the autistic spouse feels smothered. When the kids were home and dad was at work, there was a stable environment. Kids are gone, dad's home. It changes everything. Common patterns for the ASD husband include increased need for solitude or special interest, resistance to joining shared activities, heightened sensory sensitivity at home, struggles transitioning into new routines. And common patterns for the neurotypical wife include feeling abandoned or emotionally disconnected, confusion about why he does not want to spend time together, increased loneliness or resentment, pressure to manage the household or structure his way. Now, the meaning that each partner assigns to the other person's behavior is often opposite. The NT wife thinks he avoids me. The ASD husband thinks I need time to regulate. She thinks he doesn't want connection. He thinks connection is overwhelming without breaks. She thinks I'm alone in this marriage. He thinks I'm doing my best not to melt down. Neither is wrong. Both are valid. The challenge is bridging neurological difference. Now let's talk about the identity earthquake of retirement. Many autistic husbands derive security, purpose, and competence from work, not just financially, but psychologically. Their role was clear. Instructions were explicit. Success was measurable. Retirement disrupts that identity. For many retired husbands on the autism spectrum, loss of structure equals a loss of self. He may ask himself, what's going to fill my day? What gives me meaning? How do I measure productivity? Who am I to my spouse when I'm always here? This internal unraveling can manifest externally as irritability, zoning out, social withdrawal, or obsessive attention to minor routines around the house. If unaddressed, retirement can trigger burnout or even late life autistic regression, where symptoms become worse with age. So, how can the couple prepare for retirement proactively? Okay, a healthy transition requires intentional scaffolding, not blind hope. Number one, design a new routine before retirement begins. Structure decreases stress, and stress decreases conflict. So, build a schedule that includes morning start time, personal alone time, household contributions or tasks, predictable daily transitions, physical movement, and shared time with spouse in small doses. Think of it as replacing the workday, not eliminating it. 2. Discuss expectations openly, not after tension builds. Unspoken assumptions create resentment. Explicit agreements create safety. So the questions to explore collaboratively would be, how much daily togetherness feels comfortable for both of us? What activities will we share? Which will be independent? How will personal space be protected? What routines must remain consistent? So microstructure protects the marriage. Give meaning a new home. Work provided purpose. Purpose must now be rebuilt. The autistic spouse needs to be thinking about volunteer work, consulting or part-time roles, structured hobbies or community groups, special interest projects, mastery-based skill development. The goal is not busyness here, it's purpose plus predictability. 4, create joyful connection in small, sustainable doses. Neurotypical spouses often want more closeness. Autistic spouses often want less overwhelm. So here's some connection strategies that work well. Short, regular shared routines like morning coffee, 20-minute walks, predictable conversation windows. Hey, let's talk at 6 p.m. during tea. Parallel play, in other words, reading side by side or doing puzzles or gardening, and weekly dates with clear structure. Quality over quantity. Not clinginess on one end or retreat on the other end, but measured closeness. Number 5, normalize that this transition will feel strange. The first year may be messy. That doesn't signal failure, though. It signals adjustment. Retirement is not a vacation. It's an identity rewrite. So why does this topic matter so much? Well, we're entering an era where more autistic adults are aging into retirement, many undiagnosed until later in life. Their marriages are hitting a new inflection point. Couples need preparation, language, and tools, not just love, to survive this shift. So when work ends, the marriage changes. Not due to weakness, but because routine is neurological oxygen for the ASD spouse. But retirement doesn't have to break the relationship. With understanding, structure, and compassion, it can transform it. If this resonates with you, subscribe. In the comment section, I'm interested in hearing from those of you who are experiencing this retirement phenomenon. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.